afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for today's Men's College World Series press conference with Arizona. We are joined right now by head coach Jay Johnson. We will do an opening statement from Coach first, and then we'll go to questions from the media. If you do have a question, please use the raise hand function, and we will get to as many as we can in our allotted time period. Coach, please go ahead and open us up with an opening statement.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome to be here. There's nowhere you want to be in the month of June than at TD Ameritrade in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm very happy to be here with our team. I'm very proud of our team. Very consistent throughout the year. Had a great non-conference schedule. Obviously Pac-12 champions and then regional and super regional champions. It's a bunch of players that have done the right things on and off the field over a long period of time and certainly deserve this opportunity. As far as moving into the weekend, we obviously are excited to be here with the other teams and quality opponents and starting with Vanderbilt tomorrow night. So certainly excited to be here. Omaha, as advertised, as always, and a great experience. And tomorrow night we'll turn our attention to getting to the field, and we're ready to go.
Thanks so much, Coach. We'll get to questions shortly. Just so you know, from those attending from a media standpoint, we will also be joined later by Dante Williams and Brandon Bossier. But first, we'll get some questions in for Coach. When you are called upon for your question, please state your full name and affiliation. We will go first to Michael. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, this is Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star. Can you hear me okay, Jay?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, first thing I wanted to ask you was, when you got off the plane, what kind of memories came back to you, or what sort of feelings did it give you coming back here 5 years later?
Yeah, all very positive. That was obviously a great experience. I mean, we did everything in that tournament except get one more base hit to win the national championship. But very proud of how that team competed, and they were definitely worthy of being here. And I have the same types of feelings about this team. And so it's a reward for a tremendous regular season and start to the postseason. It's unlike anything else in our sport. It's the best thing in our sport, at least from the competitive standpoint. So just excited and looking to use that experience to put ourselves in a position to be successful this weekend.
Regarding Dante, the way he plays, grinding out every at-bat, how hard he runs on the bases, throwing his body around on the field, what kind of tone does that set for the team? What kind of influence does it have on the other players?
Tremendous. He's a great leader in terms of words. He says the right things. He's a great leader in terms of actions, in terms of controllable things, work ethic off the field, all of those types of things. But I think his true value is how he impacts our team on the field and impacts his teammates on the field. I mean, I came up with the nickname The Engine for him. He is truly the engine of our offense. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think he very easily could have been the Pac-12 Player of the Year. I think he's an All-American caliber player, and there's not a player in the country that's played better in the NCAA tournament. And that's on both sides of the ball in terms of what he does to kickstart our offense. His ability to drive the ball here late in the season has really changed some of these postseason games, and it's obviously well documented how good he is in center field, and that gives us an advantage going into this weekend in this particular outfield.
Thank you. Let's go next to Sean. Sean, go ahead with your question.
Sean Fagan here with the Arizona Daily Wildcat. Coach, so technically since there was no World Series last year, Vandy's the defending champions from 2019. I'm wondering, does that sort of bring out any other feelings of like maybe some nervousness or just anything knowing that now opening round one, you're going up against the best team from last couple of years in college baseball?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it, Sean. I mean, right now they are the kings of college baseball in terms of on-the-field results and how their program is operated and run over a long period of time. We have a ton of respect for those guys. Their roster is talented. They're extremely well coached. So I wouldn't have it any other way. And we actually, on Selection Day, painted a picture of this exact matchup. And obviously there was a lot of baseball to be played in the regional and super regional, and I had my reasons at that time for bringing this up, but we're excited about it. I mean, you think about it, 6 o'clock, everybody in Tucson watching, everybody in the entire country watching. What a great opportunity for our program against one of the best pitchers in college baseball history. And he's obviously had a ton of success. They have very good players throughout that lineup. Enrique Bradfield is a terrific leadoff man. And it doesn't stop there. And they know what they're doing. They're very talented. And that's how I feel about our team. So I think it's going to be a tremendous matchup.
And then in that last game, Coach, against Ole Miss, you sort of switched up the lineup. You had Barry, Bossier, and Bullard together. Seemed to work pretty well. Is that something that we may see again throughout the College World Series?
Yeah, you might. And Sean, my feeling on those things, as I've said with you guys locally, is players at this age often change day to day. And it's not a 162-game season where you're playing every single day. Well, obviously, we'll look at the matchup, look at where we feel like our guys are at, and put them in the best position to be successful for us to, score 2 in every inning as we're trying to do. So there may be some adjustments to that. We haven't quite finished our preparation relative to tomorrow night. But what's good about our lineup is there are no breaks. And the spot in the batting order is only relevant to the lineup card. But your job changes. There are 8 or 9 leadoff guys in a game, and they are the leadoff hitter each inning that it comes up, and they have a job to do. Then you have the execution at bat, and then you have the red zone at bat. So I have confidence in all those guys. The tweak certainly worked well against Ole Miss on Sunday night, and we'll look at this game and we'll decide what's best and go with that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. And for those who have just joined us on this Zoom, we are with Arizona head coach Jay Johnson. If you have a question for Coach Johnson, please use the raise hand function and we will get to as many as we can. Let's go next to Brian. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Brian Peterson with the AZ Desert Swarm. Jay, Vanderbilt's got a guy with 46 steals. So far this season, it seems like you guys have been pretty successful in slowing down teams' run games, whether it be with throws over to first or just being able to manage it better. How does this guy stand out compared to other ones that you might have faced?
I don't know that I've ever seen 46 on a stat sheet. And Enrique is a great player. We actually recruited him a little bit. He came out to a tournament in Arizona a couple years ago, and they use his skill set really well, whether it's with the bunting game, the strike zone discipline, to obviously steal bases. I mean, he will run at any time. No outs, no strikes, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and everything in between. So we're going to have to do a good job. Obviously, the best thing that you can do is keep him off base. And so that will be the focus. And if we can do that, then we're not threatened by the running game with him. But they have other guys that will run as well. They manage the game incredibly well relative to bunting, base running, and all of those types of things. They actually remind me of us a few years ago in terms of our style of play. And so it'll be a great matchup, and our pitchers are going to have to do a good job holding, picking, all of those types of things.
And you kind of brought it up there that their pitching gets so much attention that maybe it takes away, it hides the fact that their offense has been pretty solid this year. What do you see from that group that most concerns you?
Yeah, I think it starts at the top with Bradfield. He can be disruptive. Carter Young is a great player, another West Coast guy, another guy we recruited really hard. A funny story, at the house I used to rent, we had a small pool in the backyard. I stayed on the phone with him and walked around the pool for 80 laps, and I couldn't get him to say yes. So it'll be fun seeing him on the field. CJ Rodriguez, another West Coast guy, really good player, strong hitter, clutch, all of those types of things. Vaz just came back. He's athletic and disruptive. Keegan is a good player, and it doesn't stop there. They're just really balanced left, right, speed, power, solid hitting skills throughout. So we're going to have to fill up the strike zone, work ahead in the count, and do what we do when our pitchers pitch best.
Do you think more teams in the eastern half of the country have figured out the prominence of players out west and that they're more eager to go out and get those players now?
They should be. And we certainly need to do a good job of not allowing them to fly over the top of us. And when you look at like Jacob Gonzalez at Ole Miss, Carter Young, CJ Rodriguez, I think it's a really good job of evaluating by some of those teams, because a couple of the guys that I mentioned, you could tell they were really, really good players, but maybe they weren't listed at the top of, recruiting rankings or player rankings or all those types of things. So I tip my hat, in this case to Vanderbilt, and last week's case to Ole Miss, of doing a good job recruiting of some guys out here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go next to John. John, go ahead with your question.
John Nietzow with the Omaha World-Herald. You mentioned something interesting about the approach that you ask your guys to take at the start of each inning. You know, traditionally in thinking about a baseball lineup, it seems like the roles are tied to what spot in the order they have, but yet, you know, you just kind of laid it out. How you approach it, I wonder, have you always done it that way, and maybe where that approach comes from?
Yeah, I think it depends on what type of team you have. Most importantly, with this particular team, we have a lot of really good winning college baseball players that are really balanced hitters that manage the strike zone incredibly well, that you can't just pitch them one way. And they're very disciplined in what they do. And our goal is to get 3 quality at-bats in a row as many times as we can throughout the game. And when we do that 4 times throughout a game, we're really, really tough to beat. There's probably going to be 8 or 9 runs up on the board. Now, in this environment, with everybody having a good pitching staff, the ballpark being a little more defensive oriented in terms of the grass is perfect, the dirt is perfect, it's cut where it's a little bit slower, the way the stadium faces and the wind, you may not have some of those free opportunities that you always get. And so what we need to do is make it difficult on the pitchers we face, and that'll be the goal, but the goal will always be how many times can we get 3 quality at-bats in a row.
All right, let's go next to Sean. Sean, please go ahead with your question.
And Sean Fagan, Daily Wildcat. Coach, so in addition to Vanderbilt's high-powered offense, especially with their pitching, in their last 20 games, I believe only 3 of them they've allowed double-digit runs. And you have a very potent offense as well, but I was wondering, could you speak a little bit to what you feel makes Vanderbilt's pitching so successful, especially against teams in the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 guys that get the headlines, they're major leaguers. I mean, they're going to leave there, and then they're going to be in the major leagues quicker than most college guys, I would guess, and just tremendous stuff across the board. You know, fastball with velocity, fastball with command, really good out-pitch breaking balls, change up. They move the ball around really well and appear to be really good competitors. They also have some really good bullpen pieces that have unique ability, and they're not all the same. And so you're constantly having to make adjustments and those types of things. So really good job of them by recruiting and putting together a staff of where you got some surefire major league talent and then some really unique pieces out of the bullpen. And I'm sure there's more than 2 major leaguers on that pitching staff. So I think they're talented. I think they throw strikes. I think they have good breaking balls. They change speeds effectively well. So, and have guys throughout the staff that can do that and make it difficult to score runs.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's go next to Michael. Michael, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star. All the talk this week has been about Rocker and Leiter, and deservedly so. How do you assess the form that your top starters are coming into this tournament with?
Well, we're in Omaha, and we're not in Omaha without the starting pitchers doing what they've done to this point in the season. No secret, Garrett didn't have a great outing last week. Chase has had a couple bumps here lately, but they possess some of the things that I just mentioned in describing, our opponent's pitching staff. And the best thing that those guys, their best quality is what's inside them in terms of their competitiveness, their drive, their winning type quality, where they've found a way when they haven't always been their best. I don't think either of those guys or any of our pitchers, this will be too much for them. I think this team has responded to everything that's been thrown at them, and really looking forward to the guys that take the mound for our team and how they, I will call it rise to the occasion, but how they handle themselves in this environment, because we have a lot of trust in them.
Thank you. Are there any final questions for Coach? All right, not seeing any hands, then Coach, we really appreciate your time joining us today. We will look forward to speaking next with Dante Williams and Brandon Bossier. We will be joined by them shortly, and then we will continue on with the press conference. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for the Arizona student athletes to join us, just a reminder for the media, all of these recordings will be posted in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Again, if you do have questions, please be sure to state your full name and affiliation when asking questions.
Good, how are you?
We are now joined by Dante Williams from the Arizona baseball team. Dante, while we wait for a couple questions to pop in, can you just give us a brief statement about what it means to you to make it to Omaha this year?
It's a dream come true. Our team has been through a lot this year, ups and downs, and it's just a part of our identity and who we are. So it's a great feeling to experience it with the great group of guys we have, and we're not done yet.
Thanks so much. Let's go to our first question from Sean. Sean, go ahead.
Sean Fagan, the Daily Wildcat from Arizona. Dante, so what's the feeling like in the clubhouse with all the guys, knowing that through all the hard work, all the frustrations throughout the year, that you guys all made it to Omaha?
It's definitely, one that you can't really put in words that, the expressions or the emotions. But just with the emotions and stuff like that, we can't take our foot off the gas. We're right back on it next practice, whatever when the time comes for it. But outside of where we need to be, it's a great moment. So we're not looking too far ahead or too far behind us. We're being where our feet are.
And then you guys will be opening up the tournament with Vandy, who technically are the defending champs since there wasn't a tournament last year. Would you say, as a team, how you guys have played this year and the opponents you faced, that this is something that you wanted, knowing that now you're going to go up against the best in round one and just be battle-tested from the very beginning? Right,
yeah. I mean, we have a lot of tasks at our way. We prepared for moments like this ever since we stepped foot back on campus after COVID hit. So I wouldn't want us to be in any other position. Vandy's a great team, and our team we like tough tasks. So we like to get the job done. So we're ready. We're going to be ready for their matchup.
All right, we'll go next to Brian. Brian, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Brian Peterson with AZ Desert Swarm. Dante, are you aware of the on-base streak that you've put together in terms of consecutive games?
I've seen it a few times. I'm not really worried about that at all.
But what is your approach in that first at bat, or just in general in the game? Is it a matter of it doesn't matter how you get on base, just get on there and get something started?
Right. Get the momentum going for my team. They like to call me the engine. So whatever I could do to get on base hit, walk, hit by pitch, free bases, whatever. That's what I like to do. So that I know my game, and whatever helps the team, I do it.
Where do you think your offensive game has improved the most this season?
Just being able to be consistent. I don't think there's doubles, triples, or anything that really stand out. Just being able to, be the same person every time, every game. So just being more consistent and, working with my teammates to get that going.
And how much do you think playing in High Corbett this year with the size of the outfield prepares you for a sizable outfield like TD Ameritrade?
Yeah, it's a big grass area. High C is obviously really, really spacious, so it's kind of similar. It's at the end of the day, it's just a baseball field that you got to go catch a fly ball on. So I don't really see any difference in it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do a couple more questions here with Dante. Let's go next to Michael. Michael, go ahead.
Michael led with the Arizona Daily Star. Just kind of piggybacking on what Brian was asking about, if you look at your career, Dante, you've gotten better every single season. What do you think is the biggest factor behind the progress that you've been able to make over the course of your career at Arizona?
I just being able to, develop a good foundation of, what I need to do off season, getting with the coaches, Chief and Coach Jay about just the hitting approach and getting bigger, faster, getting in the weight room with Coach Campos, and just working on my mental game too would help a lot. It's just getting 1% better every day.
Sure. It sounds like it's a team effort, right?
Right. Right.
We've heard a lot about Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter heading into this game. I'm sure you've watched those guys plenty on video. What do you see when you look at them?
Great pitchers. Can throw their fastball up there. Great off speed. They're always we watch them on games and stuff. But I think we're going to be well prepared for whoever we face, and we have a great offensive plan throughout the whole year. So I think it's going to really it's going to be a fun matchup for us.
All right, let's go to our next question from John. John, go ahead.
Yeah, Dante, you kind of just touched on it. How do you prep for a matchup? It's a big stage, but knowing that you're potentially going to be going up against a top tier draft prospect on the mound, how do you sort of mentally put yourself in the right space to take on that challenge?
We've been here before. At some point in our lives, every hitter has been faced a top prospect. So I think it's just not making the situation bigger than our plan. We talk about just being where your feet are, not making any moment bigger than what it is, just kind of treating it as another game. So that's what we're going to do. We can't let the stage get too big for us. So just revert back to our training at the end of the day. See the baseball and put a great swing on it. So that's what we're gonna go into tomorrow's game doing.
All right, let's go to a quick question from Sean Fagan. Sean, go ahead.
Dante, is getting drafted into the major leagues something that you're hoping to happen at the end of your career?
Yeah, at some points, but I'm not focused on that right now. I'm trying to win a College World Series.
For sure.
We'll do one final question. That question will be from Javier. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, Javier Morales, All Sports Tucson. Dante, Vanderbilt has, I think, 6 guys from the West Coast. Do you know any of them, or have you played with any of them in the past in youth leagues or whatever?
Yeah, I played with Jason Gonzalez on the USA team. So we've known each other for a couple years now, and yeah.
What's that going to be like to play against him at this stage?
It's always fun to play against guys you grew up with playing, guys you haven't seen in a long time. Especially the guys on the East Coast, you don't really see much, but it's definitely cool. Childhood, seeing people be successful is always something that you root for. You always get out there, say what's up, smiles and everything, but right when the first pitch goes, it's all competitiveness, and they're not friends at that point.
Just one last question. Coach Johnson has mentioned a couple times that the year that he was hired, you and Tony came out on a recruiting visit. That was 6 years ago. What are your thoughts about from that point to now, how far you've come?
Both Tony and I have grown so much. I remember being on the official at the same time. That's the first time I've ever met Tony, and seeing him now versus back then, it's unreal. The dude has matured so much. The baseball game has got better. Good leadership and everything. So, I'm just glad I get to experience the moment with those two, Coach Jay and Tony.
All right. Thank you so much, Dante, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
We will be joined shortly by Brandon Bossier. If you have a question for Brandon, you can go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get to as many as possible.
It's a dream come true. Good, how are you?
Tip your head back a little bit more so we can see your eyes. Thank you very much.
We're now joined by Brandon Bossier from Arizona baseball team. If you have a question for Brandon, please go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get to as many as we can. Let's start first with a question from Michael. Michael, go ahead.
Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star. Your teammate Dante Williams, who's just sitting in that chair, plays hard all the time, whether he's grinding out an at bat, running around the bases, or sacrificing his body out in the outfield. What kind of an influence does that have on the rest of the team?
Good. He teaches us to play hard every day because, he's obviously our leadoff batter, so we know, that he's going to really give us all he's got, and it just shows us that he's willing to play hard for us, so it makes us play hard for him.
Sure. I'm sure you've had plenty of time now to study Vanderbilt's top two starters, Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. What have you seen on video? What's your kind of scouting report on those guys?
Yeah, they're going to attack the zone well. They're really good pitchers. They throw all their pitches for strikes. So, we've been watching a lot of video, trying to, incorporate it into our practices, and I feel like we're ready and, ready for what they have in store for us.
Thank you. Let's go next to Brian. Brian, please go ahead with your question.
Brian Peterson with AZ Desert Swarm. A few minutes ago, Jay was talking about how the lineup only matters as far as where you are, a spot in the lineup, and that it just depends, that your work changes depending on where you are and what inning and all that. You've been in a couple different spots this year. How do you take that approach, or differently depending on the at bat, or is it not different?
For me, I feel like it's not different. I'm just trying to do everything that I can to help the team win and, do my part. So honestly, wherever I am in the lineup, I don't look at it too differently, because it's only at the beginning of the game where you're batting seventh, in the fifth inning, you could be batting first to lead off the inning. So, I don't really look at it any differently, and I feel like I just do whatever I can to help the team win.
And do you think that's why the lineup is as strong as it is, that you guys can move people around and it doesn't lessen in any way?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we're so versatile, 1 through 9 in the lineup, and then everyone can move anywhere. Dante can bat leadoff. He could also bat in the 9 hole. So, I feel like we also have a lot of guys on the bench, too, that can, do a great job for us and help us win games.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Sean. Sean, please go ahead with your question.
Sean Fagan at the Daily Wildcat. Brandon, did you ever, growing up, ever watching college baseball, like seeing Vanderbilt play and seeing how good of a program they were?
Yeah, obviously we all saw it. They're a really good program, really good baseball school. So, I grew up watching them on TV here, play here at the College World Series, but I also grew up watching Arizona play here too. So, it's going to be a really good game tomorrow night. It's a really good team over there in the other dugout, but I think we're well prepared.
So speaking to that, now that you're a part of the Arizona baseball team and you'll be playing against Vanderbilt, what does it mean to you to not only be playing with such a great program at Arizona, but to open the College World Series against the defending champions?
It's awesome. We're up for any challenge. Obviously, I think we have a really good team, really good offense, and then our pitching staff has done a good job for us this year as well. So I think it's going to be a really good game tomorrow night. They have a really good program over there, so it's going to be a real challenge for us. But I think, if we stick to our plan and stick to our game, it'll be really good.
And then that last game that you guys had against Ole Miss before advancing here, you and Jacob Berry started to explode. Would you say that it was great to have such a big game like that, knowing that that momentum would carry your team into the College World Series?
For sure, a lot of our guys in the lineup got going that weekend, and carrying that into this weekend is huge for us, especially with the College World Series and a national championship on the line. So, I think it was huge for our confidence and going into this weekend.
Thank you.
Are there any final questions for Brandon? It looks like we have a couple more just popping in. Let's go to John. John, go ahead.
John Viettel with the Omaha World-Herald. I was just wondering, Brandon, like how you and your teammates sort of prepare for this moment. If you've, over the course of the last couple of days, have I'm sure it's been fun just being in Omaha. It's a goal to get here, but how have you tried to, sort of get yourself mentally ready to be at your best when you get on the field tomorrow?
Yeah, what our coaches told us was just to have fun when we're not playing baseball and, enjoy our time here. But when we're on the field is our time to be focused and, do the task at hand. So I think we've done a really good job of separating that. And when we're practicing, we're just where our feet are and we are present with everything we do. So I feel like we've done a really good job, separating both having fun part here in Omaha and then the serious part, which is on the baseball field.
All right, let's go next to Michael. Michael, please go ahead.
Yes, Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star. What's been the coolest part of the experience here in Omaha so far?
Honestly, it was pretty cool to have the police, escort us to the field back and forth. I've never had that before, so I thought that was pretty awesome. But also just hanging around everyone and, being with my teammates here and experiencing TD Ameritrade Park is pretty awesome. And, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, so I'm just trying to take in everything that I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Brandon, for your time. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And for the media, just a reminder that a recording of this press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Thank you for joining us today.